mind-blowing vibes, massive victories, records have been made this past weekend. Let's get through some of these vibes and victories. We're reviewing some action from this past weekend. The rugby, we'll start at the top. My goodness, insane. The women's rugby as well. And then football got a little bit crazy as well. That MTN 8 Cup final. Who's going to stop the Pirates? We'll jump into that. We also had some action on the athletics pitch. How was that? Action on the athletics pitch was quite intense. So a lot to break through. Also boxing, of course. Some sad news, but some big news as well this past weekend. That's what we'll be reviewing here now. We'll start at the top. What a vibe! What a victory in Wellington. The Boks going up against the All Blacks and creating history. I'm with the sports Sangoma to cut it up really nicely to throw those bones. And also with Zola a rugby enthusiast, a Newcastle supporter, and owner of Hermanusburg High School in Greytown. Thank you so much for joining us, Zola. How are you feeling, mate? Where are you? How have the vibes and the victories been on your side? What's up?
Yeah, Belicho at the moment. Spent the weekend with the Sports Sangoma in Greytown. We were on a golf day there, the annual Hermanusburg Golf Day. And what a match. I mean, we were watching at the Royal Greytown Country Club. Nice and early, 9 o'clock in the morning after what was an eventful Friday evening for the two of us. But what a match. And I don't know where to start. I mean, I was saying to Sunny that Shubs, I was saying to him the following day, I tried to watch the highlights, and every time you saw the try, you thought that's the last try. And then it just kept raining tries. And you just thought to myself, wow, I can't tell you, really. I mean, it's an amazing performance from the boys after being written off the week before. And Sunny coined it beautifully this weekend. He said, let the boys play. And man, did that backline function this weekend. It was so lovely to watch. The future of the Springbok is very bright. The future is very bright. And I don't know where to start. We couldn't think of anyone that had a bad game. The forwards were ticking. The backline was just absolutely amazing. Damien Willemse obviously announced himself as the solution to 12 going forward. And Kanan Moody was solid as well. We were worried about that midfield at some point. I think most of us have been used to having Damien and Jesse as the backbone of that backline. But I think the two young guns showed what they're made of. So just beautiful. Absolutely lovely.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah, I'm so glad you mentioned exactly where the nucleus of everything was for me as well. DW and the cannon. That 12-13, mate. Also, Damien, whatever he's been doing since he's been injured, the conditioning, his training regimen, I want to see that. I want to see also his mental coach. Whatever he went through, someone needs to study that because he's looking amazing shape-wise, best shape of his life. In terms of confidence, I mean, here's our spiritual sports connect over here. Sports Sangoma, come on, mate. What do you make of all of that?
Oh, get in, Gaza. Get in, my boy. Damien Willemse, man of the match. What a cracker. The All Black Lion came to the party, yeah? We've now adopted Ethan Hooker as an honorary ducky. It's beautiful times in South African rugby. The old guard is on the back foot, and if any of them want to make it to the next World Cup, they've got to kind of pull their socks up, as they say. So yeah, brilliant weekend. The Boks played out their boots. They were the outsider favorites by 5 points, and we ended up trapping them. 43-10, 33 points. What do you think of that?
Say that. You read on that. I recommended that. Come on. Ratan, I think I recommended that. I think I said they're gonna pump New Zealand. It's either gonna be very bad.
I think you did say Boks by 15. You would have got paid a pretty penny if you had taken that bet. But I know the double bet Boks Argentina was 7.5 to 1. So yeah, if they listened to Sangoma last week, someone would have made a bit of money, eh?
I did listen, mate. So let's steak dinner's happening, buddy. Come on.
Yeah, so Tom, what do we think? What does that mean now for the rest of the tournament? It's not as simple as the tournaments. We've got to play Argentina Argentina at home, and then at Twickenham. What's the thoughts there? Are we lifting this trophy? And what's going to happen in the Better Slow Cup, Australia, New Zealand? What are the thoughts there?
Yeah, I suppose you got to give it. You got to bet with the Boks now, can't you? I mean, after that performance in New Zealand, there's a few things that happened. If you ask me, Shaps, on the weekend, it's not just the win; it's how they did it. It started on Monday when Rassie decided to name the team before Razor even had given thought to the fact that she's going to be playing. I mean, Saturday we lost. Sunday we had a rest. On Monday, Rassie showed his hand, and that in its own was first signal of just which coach was winning. And then just not just mention the team, mention a very young team with a backline, like you mentioned, of youngsters, and then they delivered. So then 43-10 in Wellington. You got to back the Boks now. I think he's found a few answers to questions that have been lingering. The Pollard question mark, I think, has also been answered, because I thought, Mani gets a lot of stick from South African rugby fans, but he delivered so much, and you get to see what Mani gives you when he kicks well as well. And I thought he was an unsung hero on the weekend. Obviously, everyone was looking at Sasha, and Sasha got replaced quite early in the game, and Mani was just superb. The cross kick to Peter Seftoy, just the little passes that he makes. Mani's such a great reader of the game, and I thought Rusty got a few answers to the questions probably having. So yeah, I think Argentina in Australia announced themselves as a new powerhouse. I don't think we can look at Argentina as just one of the other teams anymore. I think everyone knows now Argentina are a new powerhouse. They've announced themselves to the world. They've beaten New Zealand and Australia. We hope that they don't do that against us, obviously. But yeah, I think you still have to back the Boks. I think with that confidence from Wellington, you'd think they should win at home and also at Twickenham. So yeah, I'll go Boks, but very tight. Both games very tight, because Argentina brings a lot to the table. They've got a very good forward pack. I thought the New Zealand forward pack was really dominated. That was a surprise. We all expected that the scrums should be a very tightly contested space, but I thought the Boks forward pack was so strong. I thought to see New Zealand's scrum going backwards twice in 2 weeks is not something you get to see very often. So, but Argentina, I think, will bring a stronger forward pack. So the scrums I expect to be tighter. And that backline of theirs, their number 12 is record. A lot of people are saying that's probably the best 12 in the world. Forget the guy's name now, but they've got a very good backline and a very solid forward pack. So expect good things, but Springboks by a small margin in both games.
Yeah, nice, big call, proper call though. I think proper call. I think you've got to kind of still keep an eye on New Zealand. Unexpected. I think they might take Australia twice, which would then mean we need to make sure of our results against Argentina if we come away with it. I do think we're too similar to Argentina for them to get over us. I think they can pack the same amount of power in the punch, but can they do it consistently for 80 minutes? I'm just not sure. They're also quite a young side. Maybe, mano, just as good as some of our youngsters coming up. But the experience we have, I think, gives us a bit of an edge twice against Argentina. I don't know, Sports Sangoma, what do you think? It's wide open, mate. It's a very
Look, I think it's wide open. I don't think we should write off any team at the moment. I think odds on would probably have the Boks in New Zealand as favourites go all the way. Maybe slightly edging out New Zealand the championship. What if? Who says neither of them does a double against us or New Zealand? But realistically, I think it's probably ours to lose at the moment, I would say. And to expect Australia to do the double over New Zealand is quite a stretch. But even though they are sitting top of the log at the moment, a point ahead of us, but there's only 2 points from top to bottom of the log. So points difference might be quite a thing. Bonus points might be quite a thing in the end. So I think you don't want to leave it to chance in the last round of the tournament. I think next week you want to make sure you get all the bonus points you can get and ensure the other team doesn't get a bonus point.
Yeah.
in the game next weekend in Durban. I think you don't want to be going down to that last match at Twickenham, waiting for another result to benefit you. So essentially in Durban, the Boks have got to win 5 tries by more than 7 points. And then we hope on the other end, New Zealand and Australia kind of have a tough go at it, and they maybe don't collect all the bonus points. And then at least we have destiny in our own hands when it comes to Twickenham. We'll go through top of the log. So I'd say my favorite at the moment are the Boks, but by a very small margin.
Yeah. So actually, yeah. So look, we could sit here and try to guess all day. It's one of those where you just got to keep your eyes on the Castle Lager Rugby Championship. Make sure you do this every single game this coming next round. The last round of it, last 2 rounds will be crazy. Speaking of Twickenham though, Sports Sangoma, let's go up to the EPL. Let's get into some football. Liverpool is hanging on by a thread. 4 games, winning it in the last 10 minutes. I don't think any English Premier League side has ever done it in the history of it. It's also been quite an exciting season.
Yeah, it's quite crazy. Hey, they're the new Man United, right? They seem to come and collect points in injury time. Burnley deserved that draw yesterday, but it was a childish handball. But they're the Fergie's Man United of old. You can never write them off until that final whistle goes off. So look, they top of the log. They beat us with that stunning goal, Fudge, that free kick.
Proper slide.
Yeah, but I think they're gonna slip up at some point, and we just gotta stay, on their heels. It's quite important that we kind of just keep on them and don't give them too much breathing space. They've got a good team. Chelsea slipped up this weekend. We had a nice victory, 3-0. The odds there were 4-10. It would have been a nice draw for Burnley. The odds there were sitting at 5-1. I was quite bullish come the last 10, 20 minutes. I thought they would kind of get through. Burnley did deserve the draw, even though the stats are overwhelmingly in Liverpool's favor. But yeah, look, it's a great start to a great season. But there's going to be a lot of disruptions with international football and the Rugby World Cup, the Soccer World Cup coming up next year. So let's see. Let's keep it tight. I think there are a couple of good teams with their hands up to shout there. I know Zituli's side, also looking okay. I don't know. It's maybe not looking as good as it did towards the end of last season. Zola, what's your thoughts on Newcastle and their prospects?
Yeah, I think the disrupting factor of our striker that Liverpool bought recently, I forget the name now, see how quickly I write people off. Isak, I think that probably played a role as well in the team dynamics. It's always disruptive when your superstar like him decides, they don't want to play anymore. But yeah, I think that win is quite important for Newcastle. I was starting to get worried. The thing about being at the wrong side of the log table is it creeps up on you. Before you know it, it's halfway through the season, and you're still sitting 15th or 16th or whatever you're sitting in. So it's always good to get to the right side of the table and build on from there. So, and Isak's issues resolved now as well, so the players know there's clarity. You know what's going to happen now going forward. I expect the team to be better now going forward. I think we were probably stuck in whether he was staying or whether he was going, what was going to happen with Isak, and I suppose that the fact that there's now clarity, he's moved on, the team can also move on and hopefully bring on some positive results in the next few games.
Yeah, no, geez, positive results, mate. I think Isak, great loss, especially because of what it does for Liverpool. It kind of takes them to a Super Saiyan level now. I saw something insane. They're looking like a little bit of a Real Madrid if you look at that attacking combination they have there. But you still got Richie Rich. You still got goal of the season contenders there. You've still got So come on now, Newcastle's still in the runs. Speaking about on the same topic, football and World Cups. You mentioned the FIFA World Cup coming up next year. Brassens, Bafana, we're looking pretty good. MTN 8 Cup final was this past weekend. Orlando Pirates dominated again. I think it's 4 in a row, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe more.
4. Yeah, I think it's 4. Yeah.
4 in a row. First time that's ever happened, if I'm not mistaken. So, geez, records just being broken left, right, and center. How's South African football? How's that Orlando Pirates? I'm going to do it, but I hate it because I'm an Amakosi fan. But I mean, that's just pure dominance since COVID. My goodness.
3 goals in extra time. 3 goals in extra time. 4 MTN 8s in a row. You Amakosi guys are very bullish. You guys have started the season, you've done well, but hey, no one has. There's no comment section at the end of the season. All you want is trophies in the cabinet, and we've collected first, and I'm sure we're going to collect another 1 or 2 along the way. It was unbelievable that you can get 3 goals in extra time after 0-0 with Stellenbosch with the 90 minutes. And also with Amakosi and your team looking a bit better these days, I think it bodes well for South African football. We've got 1 draw in the last 2 games that we need to get, and we're into the World Cup, something we haven't done in 23 years. Remember, when we played in 2010, it was only because we were the hosts and not because we qualified. So, yeah, I think the state of South African football is looking good at the moment. Our national coach is good. Our domestic coaches seem to be quite sharp. Even Barker there at Stellenbosch, the Stellenbosch are looking terrible. Sundowns do the business as they do. Amakosi have had a great start to the season compared to the last year or 2. And obviously, as in Nyama Ngenkani, we are already trophy winners. Get in, Mapagapa.
Arsenal and Pirates supporter. I don't understand this guy. Arsenal and Pirates supporter. No, mate. Come on, bruh. Come on, bruh. It's a contradiction on its own. That's contradiction on its own, mate.
Yeah, and look, don't discount yourself too much. I know Newcastle are actually sitting in the top half at number 10, and you're only, I think, a point or 2 behind Man City. So your season hasn't been too bad to start.
No, it hasn't. But I think what we've been used to now with Newcastle is a strong start to the season, and then you kind of have them slow down after the halfway mark, and then finish strong again. It's just this year we started slowly. It was tough matches as well though in the beginning. To be fair, there were all very tough matches. Could have gone either way. Liverpool losing to Liverpool in the end was also not an easy one.
We know your pain. We know your pain to those last minute goals. That's what Liverpool do. We also suffered that.
Absolutely, a blind over game, 4-3. Yeah. So I mean, I think Newcastle is the side most of us expect to do well now. So that's the other thing that I think is becoming a little bit of a good pressure, I guess, for players. They've been doing this now for a few seasons, and the expectation that they must do well is something that must weigh on them as well. So yeah, I mean, it was always Newcastle was always like everyone's second favorite team because we're not that good of a side. Now we kind of threaten the top dog, so it's not the same. We go in there expecting to do well, which is a bit different from how we've always viewed Newcastle before.
Yeah. And then
sorry, Prasad, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, man. And then we forgot. We obviously need to congratulate our women Boks. They're out of the tournament, but they put up a good fight. I did call 30 points, Fudge, if you recall, and we lost by 29 to be exact. But they really started well that game, and they put up a good fight. We've got to be very proud of them. They're kind of the pride of the nation at the moment, and this only bodes well, I think, going forward. Yeah,
mate. Look, bodes well is an understatement. I saw a full player line out against the best side in the history of the women's rugby, the Black Ferns. Full line out, well executed. Literally, it's the first time ever I've seen backline players, that many of them with almost perfect technique in a maul. Unbelievable. Swayster Brain take a bow. The women's Springboks take a bow. That first half, it looked like they could go all the way. At a stage, the plan was working really nicely, and then unfortunately, keeping up with that tempo, it's difficult. Being able to perform a high level of skill at a high speed consistently, that is the true challenge, and that I think is where they'll take value from that. They'll believe in themselves, and we'll have a reference point now that, oh my goodness, the snowball effect for women's sport in this country and the effect it will have on communities that need those kinds of heroes, like Border, like the Eastern Cape, like Boland and the Western Cape. For me, it's just absolutely incredible. One of our proudest moments as a nation, the way they performed at this year's Women's World Cup. What a World Cup it's been. Congratulations to all the organizers. Leila Arison commentated that game. History there as well. A South African commentator who's just going from strength to strength. Congratulations to you, mate. I think you killed it as well. What a performance in that game. Really brought me to the edge of my seat. So, mate, so much to celebrate. Women Boks, thank you so much. And more than anything, thank you for creating a new ceiling for our own children growing up in those areas and in this country. What a time it is to be a young woman in this country with heroes like that. Thank you and congratulations. Straight up.
You guys, have got those of you with daughters, tell me what, it's nice to have heroes that your daughters can kind of look up to. Yeah, that's very important for young people, male or female, boys or girls, that they have people that they can idolize and look up to, and and almost feel like everything and anything is possible, right?
Yeah, no, 100%, 100%.
And big credit to Swace as well. I thought you could just see the professional side of the team showing out. Shubs, what you're saying is so true. Just give the girls an opportunity. Just good coaching. Look at what just good coaching did to the team. Just by bringing in a professional coach who's coached at the highest level, and suddenly we were competing with the top sides in the world. So, father of a daughter, and I looked at that and I thought to myself, at least she's got an option to look at that sport as well now, something she could get into. So big up to Swaits and big up to the girls. I thought they're absolutely magnificent. Making it to the quarterfinals first time. Wow. So, can only get better from here.
Yeah, and before we move off rugby and wrap it up with the boxing results, Fudge, you heavily involved with commentary and pundits for the Curry Cup. What are your thoughts on the semi-finals this past weekend?
Yeah, it was actually quite crazy seeing the Fidelity ADT Lions do what they did. What a roar. It's vengeance. The Lions are roaring in insane performance against the determined dark horses side, the Sanlam Boland Cavaliers. They can be so proud of themselves. They brought life back into this year's Carling Curry Cup, without a doubt. The fans, the brand of rugby, Harvey's Fourie, and the work he's done behind the scenes. It takes so much work. It takes so much work, just like similar to Arasi Erasmus, to be able to choose a team like that and play that kind of rugby consistently, or to be able to have a plan and execute it at that level like that. Unbelievable. And they did it time and time again. They did kill a few giants. They weren't called the giant killers for nothing with URC sides. They beat the Lions with 80%, you could say, of their URC sides, 29-10. That was down in Wellington. Unbelievable for the Curry Cup. It's literally brought new life into certain regions where it was maybe a bit stagnant. Great for the game, great for the country. So congratulations to the Sanlam Boland Cavaliers and our detective Thurlow Marsh. Unbelievable stories. Next year they should do a Chasing the Sun sort of a situation following the Sanlam Boland Cavaliers. Please, mark my words. Brassens, mark my words, there's something big there. There's something big there. Get yourselves behind the scenes of what's happening with the Sanlam Boland Cavaliers. It's a story like no other on planet Earth. Telling you now. And the highlights reel are the tries they're scoring on the weekend against some of our best players in the world, which would ultimately, some of our best players in the country, which would ultimately mean some of the best players in the world. So for me, what an incredible shining light for the country and Boland. Congratulations to the Sanlam Boland Cavaliers. Special performances there. But it's now down to the wire. Suzuki Griquas got smashed a week ago in round 7, the last 7, 37 points to 7 against the Lions. They take on the Lions, and that's this at Ellis Park again. I'm just not sure, mate, if they have enough. But for me, in terms of who I thought would take it, form-wise, in the last 3 rounds or so before that big game against the Lions, I actually thought Suzuki Griquas were good at. So with the performances Mzwake Nkosi is extracting from his squad, it's tough. There's healthy competition it's a starving lion there. They haven't won any trophies in 10 years. I don't know, mate. You try to pull my leg here. You know me. I love an underdog. I'm backing Suzuki Griquas, but at Ellis Park, what's better for the country, man? Suzuki Griquas win or Lions win? You tell me.
For sure, the Griquas win is better for everyone, better for the country, better for domestic rugby. I do think
the Lions need it so badly. The Lions are desperate, mate.
I think the ball lines, the resurgence of ball lines and Griquas and even Pumas, who just miss out on the playoffs, I think that does so much for the world of rugby domestically. I was pretty happy not having the big dogs competing. It's a pity though that score, it was almost a 50 odd scoreline. I think they won by like 49 points. That's quite huge for semi-final. But I don't think it'll be the same thing in the final. I think Griquas will give them a bit more of a tough go. And should Griquas get a good start, who knows? Griquas do what the Boks did in Wellington. Let's see. Griquas are a good team. I'm also a man for the underdog. As a bookmaker, I'd obviously prefer to the upset. But yeah, I think domestic rugby is in a good place at the moment, which feeds into a greater beast, which is the Springboks, which, as we saw this weekend, we've got a new generation and the boys are back, and let the boys play. That's all we want. Let the kids play. Let the girls play. Let the boys play. Very important. Give them freedom, give them confidence to do what they want to do,
Yeah, so I like the fact that you're supporting some of the smaller sides. Sorry, mate.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this, and because I want to put you on the spot now. What provincial side do you support? Zola and yourself, Brasend.
There's only one team to support. It's the Sharks. Of course, it's the Sharks. The Peter boys. All my teams are black and white, Fudge. All of them.
There was
Yeah,
a stage where the game between the Sharks and DHR Western Province was called the Wooden Spoon.
I know. Can you believe it?
But there was also a phrase, and it goes something like this: "Pain for future gain." Right, and
Absolutely.
we saw some of those junior Boks getting a baptism of fire. I like that. Get spanked quickly, come back to reality before you spend too much time with the Boks, And yeah. So I was happy about that. It just shows you that it doesn't. It's not an easy game when you start playing against guys who are 4 or 5 years older than you for the first time. So that's great. That for me was really nice. Just like how you guys had to come back to planet Earth with all your Springboks down in Durban. It's lekker there. Folks are surfing and stuff. What's happening?
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, the other smaller unions need to find a model that's going to help fund those smaller unions, because the challenge is there, as you saw on the weekend and throughout the season of the Curry Cup. But it's just without money, unfortunately, it's just difficult to compete these days. So I'm hoping that a lot of that Stellenbosch money starts flowing into Boland to help the team. And that some of the diamond money and Kimberley also find its way towards the Clippers, because I think once you see a little bit of parity in how these teams are funded and how they get their money, I think the more you'll see a really competitive Curry Cup, and that can only be good for the Springboks. So let's hope that the funding models that are being thought about start showing some results, because you'll always have this difference of the Lions and the Bulls and the Sharks dominating, and then the Clippers and the rest of the others trying to play catch up. It's all boiling down to funding, if you ask me personally.
100%, Brazola. In fact, let me zoom in on something there, because I think that's a very important thing. Now, but both of you have so much experience in the sporting space, and of course, the economics thereof would then be something that has interested you through the decades and through so many evolutions of sport in South Africa. Here's one, and again, I think this needs to happen. Not just a behind the scenes documentary on the Sanlam Boland Cavaliers called The Dark Horses. Not just that, but also pay those guys for any players that you take from them. It's a financial model that exists all around the world. You're not going to look at the Griffins. You're not going to recruit. Look at Gershwin Ware, and especially now with the game changing, it's a massive opportunity for that these teams have been giving other players. Sometimes it's a rebirth of careers. You look at Diane van der Westhuizen and the prop at Sanlam Boland Cavaliers, who played some of the best rugby he's played in years. And then he especially being a tight head, he's in high demand. He gets picked up by another union quickly now to play in the URC, etc. Sanlam and Cavaliers need to be paid for that. They need to be compensated for the development they've done. So, because as the coaches or as Sanlam and Cavaliers, morally and ethically, you simply cannot contradict yourself and say, no, mate, we've recruited you, we've developed you, you have to stay here for at least another year or two because of how much the opportunity means for those players. So for me, that's something that we need to look at as Saru as well. What do you think, Brasens? I know we're kind of going on a little bit here now, but for me, that's a vital one to speak about, especially now.
Just to wrap that up in a nice little bow. I completely agree with you. If you're taking players that have gone through the school system within those provinces, you've got to compensate them, and you've got to compensate them well. There's got to be some sort of equality that comes across into our game to ensure that we don't have the best of our players that are coming out of schoolboy or out of the varsities in those regions dropping off. You've also seen in Kimberley, Solplaiki has now been playing well. You see it obviously in the Western Cape. SK Warmers, they've been playing well. They've made the playoffs. And these are teams where you have superstars that very easily, if you forget or if are very easily overlooked at the best of times, and you end up finding.
No, straight up. No, for sure. We've just lost Brasens. I'm sure he'll reconnect now. But what do you think about that? Sorry, you're on mute right now, Brazola. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's such a good point. You know, football is done, and it seems to have worked nicely. Why rugby still doesn't do that, or where you compensate a side that's done well in finding challenge, is beyond. I can't understand it at all. I mean, I know rugby stayed amateur for longer than football, but I mean, it's the quickest way to get the funding thing going, which is the players that come out of these unions need to be the union needs to be compensated if the players move on. So I think that's one of them. I think the sponsorships needs to. New Zealand have done this pretty well, I think, where we kind of start using a global sponsorship which covers all the teams. Where it's not everyone for himself. Where you have the Sharks finding their own sponsor, the Lions finding their own sponsor. But we start looking at a model where the sponsor that will come on board pretty much covers all the teams, and then you're able to share the cake a bit better as well that way. But there's a few ways that this can be done, and I think it's a matter of willingness. I think there needs to be a willingness from Saru certainly to get involved in that, and then I think you'll see the results. But I think up until now, unions have kind of worked in silos, unfortunately, for the longest time, that no one is looking at the bigger picture. So hopefully, let's see. I mean, I think the idea that you're proposing of paying for players that you're recruiting is probably a good first start to resolve this, and maybe the sponsorship side is as the next big thing. But I mean, I think Borland and Pumas and Crickwas were certainly the teams to watch this year, and long may it continue, because I think it's great for those smaller unions to get that exposure.
Yeah, 100%. We've lost
Yeah.
the sports Sangoma, so we're not going to get any bones thrown. It would have been really interesting. We're going to check out the some of the action, some of the vibes and victories coming up this coming weekend. We'll do that in our preview show, but this was a great review show. Brazola, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks,
Your
Fudge.
passion comes through really nicely, and more importantly, I think your wisdom, and your intellectual property that you share because of your experiences. So thanks. It was a delight having you, Brazola. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Fudge. Appreciate it.
Thanks, man. Have a lacquer day, man. All the best. Hey, we'll
Cheers.
catch up
You
this
too.
weekend. What are you anything you're looking forward to this weekend? What have you saved coming up?
Yeah, it's just so hard to pick yourself up after such a weekend of sport. But I mean, nothing sticks out really. I mean, I suppose the Ryder Cup, I think, is not this weekend, probably next weekend.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the Premier League is going to be hot again, both locally and in the UK. But and then obviously the week after the rugby, and then the Ryder Cup. So I think we're going to get a bit of a rest this week, and then catch up next week for more sports. But yeah, nothing really sticks out for this weekend except football, I guess, which will be very interesting.
Yeah, we need a rugby rest, mate. It's been rugby fever week in and week out, week in and week out. You know, it was a crazy, um, crazy rude awakening, and then a glorious awakening this weekend. She's give us a weekend off, mate. Let's chill out. Let's watch the Curry Cup final coming up this weekend, and let's hope the Suzuki Creepers do some magic there and make it interesting, because the Lions are roaring with a vengeance.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Stop, man.
Nah,
Thanks again,
thank
Zola.
you so much.
Yeah.
Appreciate
Have
it.
a good one, man.
Cheers.
Cheers, eh?